The capital world of the Valari Empire, Thalaxis Prime, sparkled like a jewel in the sky. Tall crystal towers shimmered under 3 suns, and soft blue air pulsed with silent communication between minds. The Valari were a proud, ancient alien race known for their grace, intelligence, and strong telepathic bonds. Their queen Zelthari had ruled for over 2 centuries with calm wisdom. This day was supposed to be a celebration. After many years of silence, the Valari Empire had reopened diplomatic talks with Earth. A human delegation had arrived 2 weeks ago, and now, in the royal palace's silver dome, the Valari queen would sign a peace accord with Earth's leaders. The hall was quiet. Valari didn't speak with voices, only with their minds. The sound of footsteps, especially human ones, always felt loud and clumsy in comparison. Corporal Eli Vance, a 28-year-old guard from Earth, stood near the edge of the ceremonial platform, trying not to move too much. He wasn't used to the stillness, the pressure, or the way Valari eyes seemed to watch you without blinking. He had trained for this assignment for months. Out of thousands, he was chosen to be part of the first Earth Valari Peace Guard Exchange. His job was simple: stand straight, stay quiet, and follow orders. But today, something felt strange. The queen had taken her place on the high seat. Her robes were a mix of light and shadow, moving as if alive. Her skin was smooth and dark silver, her eyes glowing faintly violet. Around her, her council stood in silence, sending and receiving waves of calm thought energy. Shh. She raised a hand-long, graceful fingers glowing faintly in. The ceremonial music began. Except it wasn't music. Not in the way humans understood it, to the Valari. It was a telepathic symphony, a shared flow of emotion, memory, and ancient meaning. Eli couldn't feel it the way the Valari could, but he'd seen it before in training. They called it the Chorus of Unity. Suddenly something happened. The queen blinked once. Her glowing eyes flickered. She touched her chest, and then, without a sound, her body slumped sideways on the throne. The hall went completely still, even the flow of telepathic signals froze. Her council stared. The attending healer stall, robed figures with floating diagnostic drones rushed forward. The music of thought shattered like glass. A shrill alarm buzzed through the air. Eli instinctively stepped forward, then stopped. He wasn't supposed to interfere unless told. A high-pitched voice broke the silence. It was Princess Alari, the queen's daughter. She spoke aloud, her voice tight and formal. Lockdown protocol. Now, all exit doors sealed instantly. The human delegates were escorted to safe rooms. The Valari healers lifted the queen's still body into a floating stasis field. Her skin was pale, now almost gray. She just whispered a young human aide beside Eli. She didn't fall, Eli said quietly, his eyes fixed on the queen. She collapsed. Later that day, 3 hours passed. The palace halls were tense and quiet. Rumors spread, whispers of poison, sabotage, or psychic attack. No one knew anything for sure. Official updates were rare and filled with vague language. Eli stood near the outer edge of the medical chamber. Watching through the glass wall, the queen floated in the stasis field, motionless. Valari medical drones moved slowly around her. Body, scanning, analyzing, treating. He had seen many wounds before. Bullet injuries, trauma cases, illness. But this? No marks. No external cause. It's just sudden failure. A Valari healer exited the chamber, speaking in soft tones to a nearby counselor. Eli wasn't meant to understand, but he'd picked up some Valari speech during training. He caught 3 words: no poison, no virus, no injury. Eli frowned. That didn't make sense. She was fine one moment, then gone the next. The way she touched her chest. It reminded him of something. He sat on a bench and closed his eyes, trying to remember. 3 years ago, Earth, New Archie, was back in a hospital room, sitting beside his mother. She had suffered a minor heart attack. The doctors said it came on suddenly, no warning signs. She had collapsed while gardening, and the only thing she remembered was a heavy pain on the left side of her chest. I thought it was just stress, she had told him. but my body had other plans. Eli opened his eyes, startled. Left side of the chest, like the queen. Could that be it? A heart attack? But would that even make sense? He pulled out his datapad and quickly searched the public medical database the Valari had shared with Earth's diplomats. There wasn't much Valari. Biology was still mostly classified, but he found a few old reports. Most were ancient history, studies on hybrid physiology, organ evolution, and genetic obsolescence. He found one entry that made him pause: the Valari cardioneural node, once comparable to primitive hearts, has long since stabilized. Beyond biological failure due to internal regenerative systems? No. Valari in recorded history has suffered a heart failure since the rebalance? That was strange. If their heart couldn't fail, then what happened? But what if it could fail under the right conditions? He looked again at the footage from the ceremony. The queen touched her left side, just like his mother. Her eyes blinked twice, and her breath caught. He replayed it again. Something was off. He zoomed in and slowed the feed. There, a tremor, barely noticeable. Her left hand shook just for a moment. It was just like his mother. He looked up, eyes wide. Think I know what happened. Breaking protocol, Eli rushed to the council chamber. But the guards stopped him. No humans allowed during medical inquiry, one of them said. I don't care, Eli replied. I have information. Important information. You don't let me speak, the queen might die. One of the counselors, a tall Valeri named Sailvon, approached him. You are a soldier, not a healer. I know. But humans have seen something like this before. She might be having a heart attack or something like it. Sailvon blinked. Impossible. The Valari heart node cannot fail, unless it's not as perfect as you think, Eli said, unless something triggered it. Emotional overload. Stress. Maybe even your telepathic ceremony. The counselor looked at him for a long moment. We will consider your theory, he said, voice unreadable. But Eli saw it in his eyes. Doubt, suspicion, dismissal. He turned and walked away. A message. In the dark that night, Eli sat in his small room, frustrated and restless. He knew he was right, or at least close to the truth. He opened his datapad and recorded a private message. To Dr. Raina Mabeki, xenocardiologist, Earth Embassy, Thalaxis Orbit Doctor. I think the Valari Queen is having a cardiac failure that their people don't recognize. I need your help. If I'm right, their medical tech won't fix her, but maybe, just maybe, we can. Please respond as soon as you get this. He hit send and leaned back, heart racing. He was just a guard, no one important. But maybe, just maybe, a human could see what an empire had missed, and if he was wrong, then the queen would end. The chance for peace might die with her. The grand halls of the Valari Palace were quieter than before, but the tension was growing. Queen Zelthari remained in stasis, held by medical fields, and watched by the best healers the Valari Empire could offer. But no one could say what was wrong, and no one could say if she would wake in the calm. Something unusual stirred in the mind of Corporal Eli Vance, the human guard. He was not a doctor, not even a diplomat. He was a simple soldier, trained to protect, yet he felt the weight of the moment as deeply as any of the Valari nobles. He sat alone in a small corner of the palace, studying the footage again. The images were frozen on the moment the queen collapsed. As she touched her chest, she trembled. Her eyes flickered. This was no simple collapse. He remembered his mother's heart attack again, how the pain started on her left side, how her body betrayed her suddenly and without warning. This memory gave him a strange confidence. Maybe he was onto something. A secret investigation? Eli decided he had to learn more. But the Valari wouldn't share all their medical knowledge, especially about the queen. He walked quietly through the palace corridors until he reached the restricted Valari Archives, a vast digital library filled with knowledge about their history, science, and biology. Humans had only limited access here, mostly general information, but Eli had something more valuable than permission. A sharp mind and determination, He found an unattended terminal. No one was watching. Quickly typed in his access code and began searching for anything about the Velari's heart. The results were confusing. The Velari didn't have hearts like humans. Instead, they had a cardioneural node, a complex organ that combined the function of a heart and brain. It controlled their pulse and mental energy. The Velari believed it was flawless, evolved beyond failure. But Eli found a small notan old medical report marked classified. Certain hybrid Velari may carry genetic weaknesses inherited from long-forgotten ancestors. These may cause failures. Under extreme telepathic stress, Eli's heart beat faster. Could the Queen be one of those hybrids? The palace healers reject him. Eli knew he needed help. So, he sought out the palace medical team. He found Dr. Sulkson, one of the senior healers, examining data near the Queen's chamber. "Excuse me?" Eli said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I think I know why the Queen collapsed." "Might be a heart failure." The healer looked at him, confused and angry. "A human guard diagnosing a Velari Queen?" Sulkson said coldly. "Your species cannot understand the complexity of our biology. You must step back." "But I have experience with heart attacks," Eli said. "I grew up on Earth. I've seen this before." The healer shook his head. "We will continue our treatment as we always have. Your opinion is noted, dismissed." Eli left, feeling both frustrated and more certain. The Velari were too proud to admit that their queen might have a simple biological problem, a hidden. Eli remembered the message he had sent to Dr. Raina Mbeki, a human xenocardiologist stationed on a nearby space station. Raina was the best in her field, famous for her work on alien hearts and bodies. If anyone could help, it was her. His datapad beeped. "Reply from Dr. Mbeki, Corporal Vance. I received your message. Your theory is interesting and worth exploring. I will come to Thalaxis Prime immediately." Life felt hope rise inside him. Meeting 2 hours later, Eli met Dr. Mbeki in a quiet chamber near the Queen's room. She was a woman in her early 40s with sharp eyes and calm confidence. "I read your report," she said after a quick glance at the data Eli had collected. "The Velari heart node. It's very different from humans. But stress on any organ can cause failure." Eli nodded. "The Queen's collapse happened right after the telepathic ceremony. That's a lot of emotional and mental energy. Maybe it overloaded her." Raina tapped a screen, pulling up a complex diagram of Velari biology. "If your theory is correct," she said, "this hybrid gene causes the cardioneural node to behave unpredictably under strong telepathic waves. Like an electric heart getting shocked." "So she's having a kind of heart attack?" Eli asked. "Yes, but no one knows how to treat it." Forbidden knowledge. Raina frowned. "The Velari medical system is based on advanced technology that regenerates tissue quickly. But they've never dealt with biological failure like this." Swallowed hard. "What do? We need more data. I want to examine the Queen's vital signs during the collapse. But we can't get direct access without permission." "That's why I'm here," Eli said. "I'll help you get it together." They reviewed the security logs and diagnostic reports from the palace drones. Eli's heart sank. The data was incomplete. "Some logs had been deleted or hidden. Someone doesn't want this found," Raina said softly. "The palace council reacts word of Eli's growing investigation leaked out. Counselors met in secret. Some wanted to ignore the human's theory, fearing political chaos if the truth came out. Others were quietly worried. Princess Ilari, the Queen's daughter, remained silent. She had always been more open to humans, treating Eli with unexpected kindness. A secret meeting that evening. Princess Ilari sent a message to Eli. "Meet me in the gardens." Alone, Eli's heart raced. The palace gardens were quiet under the twin moons. Ilari waited by a fountain, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "You believe the Queen's collapse was a heart attack," she said. "I do," Eli said. "It's the only thing that makes sense." She nodded slowly. "I want to help, but this truth could change everything. The Velari believe we are perfect. To admit weakness is dangerous." Eli looked at her. Then maybe it's time to change. Dangerous plan together, they formed a plan. Eli would continue gathering data secretly. Reyna would prepare for emergency treatment. Iolari would try to convince the council to allow human medical techniques. They knew it was risky. If they failed, Eli would be expelled or worse. But if they succeeded, they could save the Queen and maybe the Empire. The first step the next morning, Eli returned to the Queen's chamber. Watching her pale, still face, he whispered to himself, "I'll find the truth, no matter what." Sometimes the smallest voice can change the course of history. The silver light of the twin moons bathed the gardens of Thalaxis Prime as Eli and Princess Ilari met in the quiet shadows. The soft hum of distant crystal towers filled the air, but the two spoke in low tones. "We don't have much time," Ilari said. "The council grows restless. They want answers. If we don't provide some soon, they may take drastic action." Eli nodded. "I know. That's why we need to act fast. But to do that, we need more than theory. We need proof." Ilari looked at him thoughtfully. "There is a chance to access the Queen's medical records, but it is dangerous. The archives are locked under the highest security protocols. Even the council fears what lies there." Eli swallowed hard. "I have to try." Breaking the rules under the cover of darkness, Eli returned to the Velari archives. This time, he was not alone. Dr. Reyna and Becky had arrived from the orbiting space station. She moved with quiet confidence, her medical tools strapped to her belt. "Ready?" she whispered. Eli nodded. Together, they slipped into the towering chamber of data crystals and holoscreens. The air smelled faintly of ozone and old knowledge. Reyna placed her hand on a crystalline console. Her human tech did not work here. She needed to connect through Velari interfaces, which she had studied quickly since her arrival. "Help me access the Queen's file," she said. Eli's fingers flew over the keys. The palace firewalls were strong, but his Earth's military training gave him some advantage. Still, every moment was dangerous. Suddenly, alarms flashed. The palace security was already on alert. "We're not going to get long," Reyna said urgently. With a final tap, they broke through secrets revealed. Data flooded the screen. The Queen's medical history was unlike anything Eli had imagined. It spanned centuries, with detailed records of genetic changes, ancient infections, and remarkable evolutionary notes. But one thing caught their attention: a strange genetic marker labeled hybrid anomaly. Reyna leaned closer, scanning the files. "This gene is ancient," she said. "It traces back to an era when the Velari mixed blood with other species during early space colonization. Most of those genes faded away long ago, but in the Queen, they persist." Eli frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means," Reyna said slowly, "that the Queen's cardioneural node is not perfect. It carries a vulnerability passed down from her ancestors." Eli's mind raced back to his earlier thoughts. "Is that what caused her to collapse?" Reyna nodded. "It could be, and it explains why traditional Velari medicine failed. Treat the node as flawless beyond biological error. But in her case, the gene makes her node sensitive to certain telepathic frequencies." Eli remembered the ceremony, the telepathic ceremony, the chorus of unity. Could it have triggered her heart failure? "Exactly," Reyna said. "The strong emotional waves caused by the ceremony could have overloaded her heart node, causing a failure similar to a human heart attack." A new threat suddenly. The data screen shifted. Warning message appeared. "Security alert. Unauthorized. Access detected. Initiating countermeasures." "Trouble," Reyna said, grabbing her tools. Eli's fingers moved quickly. He initiated a data wipe of their tracks, but the palace AI was swift. "We have to get out," now Eli said. They barely escaped the archives before security forces stormed the hall. Captured Deli was caught moments later in the palace corridors. The council's guards grabbed him roughly. "You have broken sacred law by accessing forbidden records," the lead officer said grimly. "You will be held for questioning." Eli's heart pounded. He was no longer a simple guard. He was a threat. but the guards made no move to harm him. They respected his rank enough to treat him with cold professionalism. He was brought before the council the next day, shackled and tired. The council's judgment, the Grand Council chamber, was a place of solemn power. Crystal light shimmered across, dozens of serious faces. Eli stood in the center, flanked by guards. Princess Ailari sat at the far side, watching silently. The council leader, Sailvon, spoke. "You have violated our laws, human," he said. "Why should we not condemn you for treason?" Eli stood tall. "Because I may have saved your queen's life. She is suffering from a medical condition your people refuse to recognize." Selvin narrowed his eyes. "Do you have proof?" Eli glanced at Ailari. She nodded subtly. He took a deep breath and began to explain everything: the hybrid gene, the telepathic trigger, the heart failure. At first, many counselors scoffed or whispered in disbelief. But as he spoke, some faces changed. A princess speaks princess. Ailari rose, her voice clear and strong. "My mother is more than a ruler. She is my family. I believe this human guard has found the truth." She looked around the chamber. "We must not ignore this. The queen is sick. We must learn to help her, not pretend she is invincible." Her words quieted the room. Dangerous decision, the council debated long into the night. Some feared admitting the truth would weaken the empire. Others saw the wisdom in new knowledge. Finally, Sailvon stood. "We will grant permission for a joint human-Valar medical team to attempt a new treatment, but if this fails, the responsibility will fall on those who disobeyed protocol." Eli felt a heavy weight lift from his shoulders. He had one chance to save the queen. Preparing for battle of science in a small medical chamber. Eli, Reyna, and Valari healers gathered. Reyna explained her plan. "We will combine Valari technology with human cardiac treatment, using resonance therapy to calm the node and an old Earth method defibrillation to reset her heart." The Valari healers watched skeptically but agreed. Eli volunteered to assist. "This is it," Reyna said. "We either succeed or we fail." The night before, Eli stood alone, staring at the sleeping queen. She looked peaceful, but he knew how fragile she was. He whispered softly, "We'll fix this. For you, for the Empire, for peace." And deep inside, he wondered if this was the moment humans proved their worth to the stars. The bright lights of the medical chamber buzzed softly as doctors and healers prepared their tools. The queen lay still on a crystalline platform, her pale face calm but fragile. Around her, technology hummed, a mix of Valari machines and human medical devices. This was a union never attempted before. Corporal Eli Vance stood near Dr. Reyna Mabeki, feeling both hope and fear. This was the moment they had worked so hard for, to save the queen and prove that even the greatest could have weaknesses. Combining two worlds, Reyna looked around at the Valari healers. They watched her carefully, curious but uncertain. "We will use resonance therapy first," Reyna explained. "It's a Valari technique that uses controlled telepathic waves to stabilize the cardioneural node. Then, we will use a human method called defibrillation, a strong electrical pulse to reset the heart's rhythm." One healer stepped forward. Her name was Sillarine. "This procedure is untested. The queen's heart node is unlike any human organ. It may be dangerous," Reyna nodded. "We understand the risks, but she cannot survive without it." Eli caught the nervous looks between the healers. He wished he could say more to reassure them, but words felt weak compared to the weight of the moment. The first wave, Reyna activated the resonance device. A soft glow surrounded the queen's chest, pulsing gently. The chamber filled with a low as the machine sent telepathic waves to soothe the damaged cardioneural node. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the queen's fingers twitched. Her eyelids fluttered. Sillarine gasped softly. Eli felt his heart leap. "This is working," Reyna said quietly. But the queen remained unconscious. A sudden crisis as the resonance continued. The queen's heart node suddenly spiked. Alarms blared. Her cardioneural node is destabilizing. Sillarine shouted. Reyna reacted quickly. Prepare the defibrillator. Eli watched as the human machine glowed with a fierce blue light. The healers surrounded the queen. Holding her steady, Reyna pressed the device to the queen's chest and fired. A strong electric pulse surged through the queen's body. Darkness and light. For a moment, the room was silent. Then, Queen's eyes snapped open. She gasped sharply. Clutching her chest, pain flickered in her silver eyes. Eli stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we're here to help." Queen's gaze fixed on him, filled with confusion and fear. "I do not understand," she whispered. The queen awakens. The healers relaxed, but remained cautious. The queen's pulse was steady but weak. Reyna smiled. "The treatment worked, but she needs time to recover." Eli sat beside the queen, gently holding her hand. "Do you remember the ceremony?" he asked softly. The queen nodded. The chorus of unity. It was beautiful, but overwhelming. Eli smiled gently. That was the trigger. "Your heart node couldn't handle the strain." The queen looked thoughtful. "Then my body betrayed me." "No," Eli said firmly. "You are strong. And now we know how to help you." A new understanding. News of the queen's awakening spread quickly. The Valari people waited anxiously. Princess Alari announced, "Our queen lives again, thanks to the courage of humans and the strength of Valari healing. We will grow stronger together." The council agreed to expand cooperation with humans. Eli felt proud. For a human guard, this was more than duty. It was a moment of history. Healing the heart. Over the next days, the queen's condition improved slowly. Reyna and Silerin worked together, combining their knowledge. They discovered that the queen's hybrid gene was rare but manageable. With careful treatment, her cardio-neural node could adapt. The queen began to regain her strength. A new threat emerges, but peace was fragile. Hidden enemies watched the change with fear. Some Valari nobles whispered in dark halls. They feared that admitting weakness would weaken their rule. One counselor, Thalric, began to plot. He saw Eli and the queen's healing as a threat to his power. Eli's warning. One night, as Eli patrolled the palace, Ilari approached him. "There are whispers," she said. "Some want to end this alliance. May try to harm the queen again." Eli frowned. "We have to protect her, no matter what." Ilari nodded. "I trust you, Eli. You are more than a guard now." Eli felt the weight of her trust. The calm before the storm, the palace prepared for the upcoming Unity Festival. A celebration of peace between species. The queen would appear for the first time in public. It was a symbol of hope, but also a moment of danger. The day of the festival, the palace square, filled with Valari and human citizens. The queen appeared on a balcony, her silver eyes shining. She spoke with strength. "Today we celebrate not only peace, but understanding. We honor the courage to admit weakness and the power to heal." The crowd cheered. Eli watched from below, heart pounding. A shadow moves, but in the crowd, Thalric smiled coldly. He slipped away. Unseen, his plan was ready. The queen's future. As the festival ended, Eli felt a mixture of relief and worry. The queen was alive, but the fight for the future had just begun. Eli whispered, "We will protect her, together." The night after the Unity Festival was quiet at first. The crowds had gone home, and the palace settled under the twin moon's soft glow. But beneath the calm, dark plans stirred. Corporal Eli Vance stood watch outside the queen's chamber. His senses were sharp, his mind alert. He knew the threat was real. Thalric, the scheming counselor, had not given up. He wanted to undo everything Eli and the queen had fought for. Eli's hand rested on his sidearm, but he hoped it would never come to violence. An unexpected attack. Suddenly, shadows moved in the palace corridors. A small group of armed Valari slipped through the halls, avoiding patrols. Eli noticed something first, a soft hum of forbidden weapons. His instincts kicked in. "Intruders," shouted, drawing his plasma rifle. The palace alarm screamed to life. The Valari guards guarding. The queen's wing rushed to Eli's side. A fierce battle broke out. The attackers were well trained, but the palace defenders fought harder. Protecting the queen inside her chamber, the queen sat up, alarmed by the noise. "Eli, what's happening?" she asked, her voice steady despite the fear. "Stay calm, Your Majesty," Eli said. "We will protect you." The door shook under repeated strikes. Eli ordered the healers and servants to move the queen to a secret safe room beneath the palace, an ancient shelter built long ago for emergencies. As the queen was escorted away, Eli stayed behind to hold the attackers off. The duel in the hall, Eli faced Thalric himself, who had joined the attack. "You think a human and a weak queen can rule us?" Thalric sneered. Eli raised his rifle. "I think strength comes from truth and unity." "Is something you don't understand." They fought in close combat, Eli using his training and agility, Thalric using brutal strength and sharp claws. The battle was fierce and desperate, turning the tide just. When Thalric seemed to gain the upper hand, reinforcements arrived. "Princess." Ilari led a squad of loyal Vallari guards. "Your treason ends now, Thalric," she declared together. They forced the counselor to retreat. Eli breathed heavily but did not lower his weapon. The secret safe room, meanwhile. In the hidden chamber, the queen rested, guarded by healers and Princess Ilari. The queen looked at Eli with gratitude. "You saved me," she said softly. Eli smiled. "We saved each other." Ilari stepped forward. "Empire must change. No more secrets. No more hiding weaknesses." The queen nodded. "Then we will build a future together, stronger because of our differences." Now, rebuilding trust. The next day, the council met again. Thalric was arrested for treason. The queen addressed the council. "With renewed strength, we must accept that no one is perfect. Our power lies in unity between Vallari, humans, and all who seek peace." The council agreed to reform a new alliance. Eli stood by the queen's side as the empire opened new relations with human colonies. Reyna Mabeki was appointed chief medical advisor to the Vallari. Combining knowledge from both species, Alari became the queen's trusted envoy, bridging cultures together. They began building a future where strength was found in cooperation, not pride. A quiet moment one evening, Eli looked up at the stars from the palace balcony. The twin moons shone brightly. He thought of Earth, of his family, and the long journey that had brought him here. He whispered, "We did it. We made a difference." The legacy, the queen's heart was healed, but more importantly, Empire's heart was too. A new era had begun, where humans and Vallari stood together, stronger than ever. Eli smiled, knowing that even the smallest voice could change the course of history.